What's going on YouTube, and welcome back here to another day in Minecraft Walt Disney World. Today we're going to be giving a little bit of a analysis on Test Track 3.0. It recently opened the other day and I want to give my thoughts. So this attraction, remembering original Test Track and then Test Track 2.0, comparing this to the other two, I would say this is probably the second best version of Test Track, and I guess that's a compliment if you want to put it in a way. Um, I would say it's not as good as the original, but is better than 2.0, and I think that's a fair spot considering where things are at right now with this area. I'm really excited to actually ride this attraction. I will say from the videos and things like that I've seen, a lot of people seem to be excited for it. It had a really long line on the first day, which is exciting. They did not do a virtual queue for this, which I think is a great thing. That's a win for Disney. I think getting rid of the virtual queues, letting people just wait in the lines, you have to remember too, people are flying from across the world, across the country. I really like that effect there, to ride this attraction, right? And then they wait for a virtual queue that there's no guarantee they even get. It doesn't really make sense. So I think maybe taking a little bit of that feedback, and we're at the point where Disney's no longer doing that, and which I think is a win. Hopefully that continues into the future. Now, obviously right now, this is still the Test Track 2.0 version of the attraction. This whole canopy is gone, which I think is a huge win, just looking from the outside in. The new signage, I think it's clean. I like it. I thought this signage was okay. It was kind of weird with the blue model figure over, because it just didn't seem like it looked like a car. It looked like just a clay blob that somebody left there. So I'm kind of happy that that's gone. It's not nearly as much this kind of Tron feeling, which again I think is a win. This kind of renovation in terms of walking in, I think the queue was definitely missing something. I think this queue might actually have been better than the new version. I think 2.0 did a better job with the queue than 3.0, but it's still okay. It's solid enough, but again, we're going to be comparing here, right? Because what are we replacing? Are we replacing this with something better, right? That's really what the key to this kind of whole thing is, right? And it's important that we get to this point, because this is where you can build your own car. And in 3.0, you no longer have to do that. I think for the younger people, it's kind of a bummer, because it was kind of fun for the little kids while they were waiting in line to have something interactive like this. This was one of the first things they had with Magic Bands. Remember that too? Where they kind of implemented Magic Bands with the queue and having interactive elements. But I think for the most part, most people are okay with it being gone, because it just got kind of tedious. It was kind of annoying, and it didn't really change your ride experience at all. So I think that kind of just, half the time the boards wouldn't even work and things like that. So I think people were okay with losing that. And then you get to the point where, I really like the window into the lobby, which is, I think, right here for the attraction. This is all open now, which I think is a win. And then, to kind of continue that sort of feel, they changed the way the car looks, which I think was a win. I kind of wish they added new cars to the attraction, which they did not do. And then kind of going through the actual attraction itself, I wrote a couple notes while I was kind of watching it, and I think that wow moment is definitely present in the 3.0 version. I think that was a huge upgrade right when you get to the top of the hill right here, and they kind of show you, what the guy who's the driver sees, and then they show the autopilot, and she's kind of mentioning how, well, this is how I see the world. And then all of a sudden, the whole room changes. You see all the little lines of the grid of the buildings, and it looked fantastic. There was actual different rooms, which I think was really nice. I think the kind of changing of, like, you see the car again, which is more of a jump scare, like the original. Like, there were certain things where I really liked this attraction. The foliage atmosphere was really nice. They really made sure to kind of point that out, while they were kind of teasing us over the last couple of months, and I think it really delivered. 2.0 did have a better post show, which I think we'll get to that more in a minute. But I think the separate scenes, like, this all, like, is one room, and they kind of made it like they didn't really hide it in 2.0. And I think in this version, in the newer version 3.0, they really did a better job of kind of like separating the different scenes, which I think is a good thing. It definitely felt like more of a traditional dark ride in the best way. So that was a win. And then we kind of get to, let's see, I'm trying to remember. Oh, and the other thing is, once we get to the door, they got rid of that door that's opening. It currently, at least from the last videos I've been seeing, it is not working. On opening day, they did not have the door opening at the last second. It's just staying open, which is a shame. I really hope they fix that, because that's something that there's no reason that it should be like that. Like, that's something they need to fix. It's little things that it goes a long way, and people notice that stuff. So they really need to make sure they get that back on track, because there's just no reason to not, like, I understand safety, but that's something that you really need to add. That's an important part of the attraction itself. Like, this whole room kind of seemed like empty in 2.0, so again, in 3.0, having all this stuff really helps make this feel like a more complete attraction, and just there's less dead spaces. And it's definitely a great nod to World of Motion, and it definitely gives you that sense of what this attraction was when it opened. And I really think that that spirit and that optimism of the future was definitely present in 3.0, and it was a win. Like I said, I think looking at this attraction as a whole, I would say it's an upgrade, and I'm okay with it, and I'm happy with it. And I think there's a lot of things to be excited about with what this attraction, kind of could mean for the rest of some of the changes in Epcot moving forward. I think, the two big ones that I think a lot of people are thinking of right now in particular are what the future is for Journey into Imagination, and I love how the car moves like that. That is so cool. Journey into Imagination and Spaceship Earth, I think, are the next two attractions on the docket for Epcot that are going to see some significant changes for the better. And I think this is, if you want some optimism to what could be coming, this is kind of it. Is seeing what Test Track is potentially exciting for what could be coming next, right? So, with that said, I think we're going to wrap it up here. This is pretty much everything I wanted to say. I'm really excited to see this in person. But like I said, I think most of the community is pretty excited about it. There's a couple of little things here and there that they can definitely tweak and make better. Like I said, fixing the door, adding more to the post-show, which I think that was more of a GMC kind of move, wanting to, they're promoting more than just Chevys and Chevrolet. They're definitely trying to get more of that, the GMC as a whole brand. There's a lot more different types of vehicles in the exit, which I think is cool. But honestly, like I said, there's a lot that can be said about this attraction, trying to be negative, but I think overall the message of this attraction is good. The delivery is pretty good also. Like I said, little things here and there, but it's pretty good. And from what we've seen from Disney recently, this is a win. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.